Hello there, digital peeps at YouTube's mkgtweety here. And I'm not putting the light on back there because it makes it too bright, so here we go. I'm making this video today because there were two videos that I made in a series. It was a four-part series back in May, June, July. It was like May, June of 2020. I decided I was going to bring some comfort into the world with the whole COVID thing that was going on happening at the time. And we read four stories, okay? Now, the one story we read is I think I saw that on Mulberry Street, which is the video I'm going to be talking about in this video by Dr. Seuss. And then we read Turtle the Turtle, and then we read 14 Hatch of the Night. Those were the three Dr. Seuss books we read. Now, there's a fourth book that we read. Now, this book that I have here is a six by Dr. Seuss. So there's The Sink Sold on Mulberry Street, 500 House of Bartholomew Cummings, Horton Hatch and Egg, You're the Turtle, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and the Lorax. Those are all in. Now we're going to talk about I think I saw that on Mulberry Street in just a second. And then the other story we read is this. It's called Blueberry Girl by Neil Gaiman, which has illustrations by Charles Vess. Now this, we know that this guy here is canceled. We know he's canceled. I read the Vulture article. I know what's going on. And you're probably thinking to yourself, well, I'm mkgtweety. Why do you know about him so much? You sound like you know like a whole bunch about him. Well, him and my favorite singer in the whole entire world, who is Tori Amos. Go look her up. She's a fabulous singer, songwriter, pianist. She just come out with a new children's book called Tori and the Muses, accompanying music and audiobook to go with it. So look up the music of Tori and the Muses, and then look up Tori and the Muses audiobook. And all that was recorded down her studio in Cornwall, England. She lives in a place called Bude down there, and I spell it out because I don't know how to say it right. So anyway, and him and her are besties. And she had come out, this was back in January, I believe. And she didn't really want to say anything because she didn't know how to react to it, first of all. I believe her daughter, who is named Natasha Holly, and she has her daddy's last name. Our gal pal is, well, I should say, Tori is married to a wonderful British sound engineer who does her sound for her, works with her in the studio. He's her engineer. His name's Mark Holly also. And they have a child together. So this is, she goes by Tash. If you want to look her up on Instagram, type NATASHYAHAWLEY and you're able to find her that way. She also has a blog, but she doesn't usually post on the Instagram blog anyway. And then she also is on TikTok. So it's her name, but right after her first name, there's a period. And then her last name. She's studying to be a lawyer right now, and I know she studied Arabic, so she wants to be, from what we've been told by her mother, her famous mother, that she wants to be an immigration lawyer for Muslim women or something like that. Something along those lines, but I know she's studying to be a lawyer at the current time. Her daughter Tash, and she has a niece who's named Kelsey, and Kelsey is Tori's sister's kid, so that's how she's an auntie, as I should say. And this would be Tash's cousin. They both found out about it in July of last year. They found out about the allegations, and they said, we can't tell Mom. It's 4th of July weekend. What do we do? She's with the fam. And so they contact her lawyer and said, when she lands in England, you need to tell this to Mom. Because they usually. And so she went, and when she landed back in London, when she went back to London, or back to England, as I should say, in Cornwall, England, to be with her husband and all that, husbandos and whatnot, That was when she got it, and she didn't know how to react to it at first. And then January comes, and there's an article about it. She's literally almost in tears. She says, I've known him for 30 some years. He came to see her backstage on tour, this latest tour that she had, like 22, 23. They've known each other since like Earthquake days, when it was about 1991. And she goes, you never really know a person behind closed doors till you really know them. You know what I'm saying? And so when she found out, she goes, if these are true, I'm going to disown him, like, completely. And she was literally, like, almost crying in tears. One of her oldest and dearest friends, they're like brothers from another mother kind of thing. And so when she made the credits to her new children's album, which is The Music of Tori and the Muses, which is based off of her book, Tori and the Muses, which you can get it out wherever you get books. You get the audiobook wherever you get audiobooks. You can get the music. It's digitally right now. They don't have physical copies of it. So you can get it off of iTunes, put it in a playlist, and then make a physical copy of it, burn it to a CD. I know you can stream it on all streaming services, music streaming services and stuff. He is not thanked in the liner notes, because she has a website where they give you the credits to everything about the book and everything. And he is not thanked in the liner notes, so I know she cut him off. And we have to talk about this book because he wrote this, and he's someone that's canceled, so we have to talk about it. We'll start with this one first because I have it in my hands. Now, this book, it's called Blueberry Girl. And this was, I should say, Travis had asked him to make her a poem for her daughter's nursery room at the time. She had gone through three very bad miscarriages. And if you go to her book called Piece by Piece and you read the motherhood chapter, it explains everything. Just trust me. It explains her fertility journey and everything. And she said a few years ago in an article somewhere, she says, my only one regret is I wish I could have had more kids, because of everything that she went through. And you find out in the book that she actually has developed a medical condition, which is why she's having all these miscarriages and stuff. And her sister gets involved because her sister is an internist in DC, is a doctor, and kind of helped her get to like somebody that her sister knew was really good at high risk pregnancies and all this kind of stuff. And it's a whole journey. So you have to go and read, and you'll understand why she only has one kid. And she had asked him to make a poem. She was so afraid that she was going to lose this baby because of her previous ones. But once you find out what happened, she basically break it down for you. She had it's called a S protein deficiency, which means that we have markers in our body that tell our body that the baby's not a foreign object. Okay. And she had little to none of this. And so every time she would get pregnant, the body would attack the fetus. And so, she had, out of the three, one of them was so bad, she lost so much blood, she almost could have died. And, oh yeah, so it's all explained in Piece by Piece. You have to go get Piece by Piece. Go read the motherhood chapter. You'll understand everything I'm talking about. And so she had asked him to make her a poem, like a little blessing for the nursery, because, she's sitting there 7-8 months pregnant and trying to find out what's going on. And once they figured out what's going on, so he makes this poem and entitles it Blueberry Girl. When he goes out to like when he does like book tours and things like that, people say, oh, I heard you're with so and so, what's she like and what is she up to and all this kind of stuff. And he says, oh, I wrote this poem for her, it's called Blueberry Girl. And people would ask him for a copy of it. It was getting so popular of asking copies for it that he just decided that he was going to make a children's book out of this. So this is what we have now. If you see a little girl here, looks like Tori's daughter, Tash. Like I said, full name Natasha. Natashya. And then the last name is Hawley. We actually have a senator with that last name. U.S. senator with that name. Last name. And this is, so it's based off of her. And then if you look here, if you look at the mom, mm-hmm, has red hair. I think that's my favorite singer in the whole entire world. And it's a great children's book. It was, it's just one. It's great if someone's gonna have like a little girl. It's what it's intended for. But boys and girls can read this. Um, and so when I heard about the allegations that had come out against him, I was like, oh shit. I was like, oh shit. I'm like, I gotta make a video because I made a video about I think I saw that on Mulberry Street. And then when I realized he got canceled, I was like, well, I might as well make a story about both of them. Now I'm leaving the story out. Okay, and there's going to be a reason why I'm leaving it out. It's a good story. It is perfect. It is what it needs to be. If I get enough of an outcry, I will take it down because of the author. And I will make a note in I will make like a little update because I had read this before all the shit about him came out. I don't condone what he did. By no way. You should never, ever, ever treat a girl or a woman that way, ever. No. And I think, and they were talking about his background. His parents came from like Scientology and stuff. So I think a lot of that kind of rubbed off on him and made him go weird and kooky. But that's just me. And so this is why, I'm gonna leave it up because it's a good written story. If I get enough of an outcry, if people like, comment me and go, hey, mkgtweety, I don't think you should have this up because of, then I'll take it down. But I'm not gonna take it down. I'm leaving it up because it has to do with my favorite show on the whole entire planet, Troyans. So that's one of the main reasons why I'm leaving it up. It's not because of him. I have this by him and I have Good Omens by him. Because she does the Night in Berkeley Square, or Troy sings the Night in Berkeley Square song at the very end. And he listened to like every version that was out there. And he goes, all I want is dinner piano music. And he knew the one person that could do it for him. So he calls up his partner in crime, Troy, and is like, hey, can you, this is what I'm doing. Can you do it for me? And did it and all this kind of stuff. I know if you look up her name, Night in Berkeley Square, you should be able to find it or Good Omens soundtrack, and it's all there. So, and some of there's a picture that this is based off of. But there you go. It's a great children's book. It's a great, as you see, like it's great. It's just who wrote it now is like tainted. It's canceled. And I don't want anyone to do kind of think like, oh, you read this because, oh, you support. I don't support what he did. Okay? I love him at one point because he got with my favorite singer on the entire planet. He was backstage at a concert, like I said recently, like in 22, 23. She, Travis has, there's a song it's Tear in Your Hand. Neil said hi, by the way. That's the Neil she was referring to, is this guy. Neil makes me a tree. From Horses. Her song Horses off of Voice for Pele. And he did that thing where you read on BBC Radio, where you read a story out loud. It's like an audiobook live on the radio. And she was reading her part for the tree, whatever. I think the book's called Starlight or something like that. Yeah, she did all that. And now she has to cut him off because of what he did. Now, I'm not condoning him. I don't condone what he did. I don't like what he did. But I'm leaving up the story because it's a very good children's poem book. Okay, I'm reading it for the story, not for the author. Okay, so just remember, I'm leaving it up for the story, not the author. And I think the illustrator was very good in doing the drawings. So there's everything about that one. Now, if you have, now I'll link the playlist below so you can go check them out. Like I said, this was read in like May, June 2020. So this was way before the allegations ever came out. So if I get enough of a cry, I will take it down. But like I said, I'm leaving up the book because of the story, not because of the author. I wanted to leave it up for both reasons. But now that he, so. Alright. Now we're going to get into And to Think I Saw That on Mulberry Street by Dr. Seuss. Now, why is this book canceled? Okay. First of all, there was this group and then January 21 hits, and there's this group, this Democratic group, and they go around and they find things that they feel that they want to cancel. And I was going through the channels and I happened to notice one of the news channels and it says, Dr. Seuss canceled the house. The house canceled. I'm thinking, okay, why is Dr. Seuss canceled? It's like he's probably one of the greatest children's authors of our time. Who don't remember their first story is Green Eggs and Ham? I have a copy of Green Eggs and Ham. I love Green Eggs and Ham. Who doesn't? Who doesn't love one fish, two fish, blue fish, red fish? Who doesn't love Horton Hears a Who? Horton Hatches an Egg. Like, who does not love Dr. Seuss? Turns out that this group wants to cancel several of Dr. Seuss's books. One of them being I Think I Saw That on Mulberry Street. I think one of the ones that was on was If I Ran Away to the Zoo or something. And what they had with this Democratic group, this group that like wants to cancel, they just want to go around, pick things and find canceled. And we'll get to why in the book in a second. They saw in one of the books, there's camels in one of his books. And I go, why do you want to cancel camels? They found that offensive. Because there's lots of Middle Eastern people that ride camels, that drink the milk, that raise them for food out in the Middle East. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a true statement, all that kind of stuff. They thought that was offensive. They thought that this part here, because it's in the book, but it's in this book too. See how he's like a pharaoh, and has a turban on his head with a feather. They thought that the Middle Eastern people are the people in the specific book, wherever which one was, that have a turban in there, they find that offensive. They're like, oh, we have to cancel this. This is offensive to Muslims. There are, I think it's the Scout people, if I'm correct. Don't quote me on it. I think it is, that wear turbans on their head. There's plenty of Middle Eastern countries where you wear a turban. Look at Disney's animated feature film Aladdin. The Sultan, Jasmine's father, has a turban and a feather with a jewel. When you had a feather and a jewel, that means you were wealthy. You were the Sultan. You had wealth. You had power. I don't understand why that's offensive. I don't get it. I don't understand. And I didn't see anything wrong with it. It's just, I don't know why this group found it offensive. I know there's a list because I had looked this up. I'd made a video about it, about the Think I Saw That on Mulberry Street book. And I really I made one before, and then I was like, okay, let me look this up, and then I redid the video, and then it's like, okay, well, now I'm remaking it a third time because of the two books here. His granddaughter, I believe it is, Dr. Seuss's granddaughter, there's a list of books that they're not going to be printing anymore. And to Think I Saw That on Mulberry Street's one of them. And I think the other one is If I Ran Away to the Zoo is another one on that list. I can't remember what's on there, but I know Mulberry Street is. And they were talking about why, each specific book was canceled, or why they want it canceled and all that. And I'm like, I wouldn't cancel Mulberry Street, but I'm going to tell you why they're going to cancel it. So there's one thing that this Democratic group had a problem with. Now this is what they're uproaring about. This photo right here. I'm going to read you the passage and what it says. A Chinese man who eats with sticks. A big magician doing tricks. A 10-foot beard that needs a comb. No time for more. I'm almost home. He's using this active imagination, okay? And this is what they had a problem with. This picture right here. This picture of this Chinese man. Now, what this article that I was reading about Dr. Seuss, what his granddaughter was saying, is that Dr. Seuss, he always portrayed the Chinese, the Japanese, the Asian people very harmful, stereotypical ways. And that's just how, what he grew up with and all this kind of stuff that he grew up with. Oh, the Asians are bad and all this kind of stuff. And it was wartime, and the Asians were already getting a bad rap anyway. So she said that in earlier printings of, and I think I saw that on Mulberry Street, the Asian person actually had yellow skin because it was a stereotype that like all like Asians had like this yellow skin and all this kind of stuff, which, okay, that's kind of wrong. We're not the Simpsons here. Um, and he just would always portray like it is 4 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast in Pennsylvania. I live 30 minutes outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, as to where you don't need to know. But it is 3:26:05 of March that I'm filming this, because this is when I have a quiet moment to film all this. And she said he would always negatively portray, so it was offensive then as it is now, kind of thing. Now this, the hat that he's wearing, it's not really offensive, because a lot of Asians will wear this in the rice paddies to keep the sun off their backs, off their face. A lot of Chinese people, this is like traditional Chinese clothing that they wear. I don't find anything. I've seen Chinese people wear things like this, but this little thing that he's doing right here is what they were fighting up in arms with. He has a bowl of rice and he's eating it with chopsticks, and they're up in arms over this. I go, out what? Okay, first of all, if you go to New York Chinatown, if you go to Chicago Chinatown, if you go to San Francisco Chinatown, they're eating things with chopsticks. You go to Japan now, you go to China now, they're eating things with chopsticks. They're eating ramen with chopsticks. You go to any place here in the United States where there's ramen, people are eating things with chopsticks, including the Asians. I don't see anything wrong with this. It's just this little boy has this. Oh, this little boy right here has an active imagination. This is his things he thought up. And I read it because I know it's a well-loved, iconic children's book from Dr. Seuss. I don't know why they found such a hard time with this thing. Because for centuries, they've eaten it back in BC times as they do now. So I don't know why this is so offensive to people. I have not had an Asian person contact me and say, hey, I found that part offensive to me, take it down the video. I am not taking down this video, because it is a very good, well-written children's book, and I'm leaving it up. Okay? I bought more books for the channel to read in the future. Um, but I don't see anything wrong with this part. I don't understand why, it's, it's, I don't see anything wrong. I don't know why this group finds this book that offensive that they want to cancel the book. But his granddaughter says that Dr. Seuss's granddaughter, and I can't remember the article specifically where it is, but you need to go look it up. But there's this list of books that are not going to be no longer in print, and one of them is going to be To Think I Saw That on Mulberry Street. So if you want to read it, or if you haven't read it, I'll put a link to the playlist down below. You can check out all the stories that I read. It was a 4-part thing. I will be adding more books on. I'm going to be reading Tori and the Muses soon for it. So there you go. So this is why, and when it's like, okay, well, I have to make a video about it because, it's just like, I'm like, I just read that for the channel and now he's canceled. It's like, the story should not be cancelable just because of this thing right here. And, I saw pics of earlier versions of the of this, and I saw the yellow skin and all that kind of stuff. I get that, I understand that. We're not trying to make a Simpsons character here. But back then, that was something that was offensive and derogatory towards, which again, I understand. And I would, just kept it like this. It's fine, you know. I don't know why they had to cancel that book. It's a well-loved, well, iconic children's story that I read. And it was like, when I heard that he got canceled, I'm like, oh my God. Now what am I going to do? Because, then, when he got canceled, it's like, well, I read one of his books. This is the only two Neil things I own is my Blu-ray of Good Omens and this book. And I have them for a very specific reason because my favorite singer in the whole entire world, Tori Amos, has to do something with this. You know, she kind of like, inspired, because she went in the story. And her child has that poem up to her room to this day. So I think it's kind of cute. And it's just like, what do I do? It's like I read a cancelable book, and it's like I don't want to, whatever. I don't know. It's just, it's sad that now, there are books out there now that are in comic book form where the character, this is one of the stories I think parents or children had a hard time with. I think the kid was 15 and he meets this older boy who's 18 and they're locked in his bedroom, the one kid's bedroom, and he starts taking off his clothes, gonna do it. It's like, you don't read that to an 8, 9, 10-year-old. Why would you think that's appropriate for like a 10-year-old or an 8-year-old to read? It's like I saw a video where these little kids were like lined up. It was like parade. It was a pride parade, and they're all lined up. They're 8, 9, 10-year-old, 11, 12 kids. What is that age group doing at a pride parade? If you come from like two daddies or two moms, I get that. I understand that. And I have no problems with the LGBTQ community. I swear to God, I don't. I actually went to high school with a guy on my bus who was gay, and he was one of the nicest people I ever knew. So that was the first time I ever experienced knowing somebody who was gay and all that kind of stuff. And coming down the parade route, because the kids were like, okay, say this is like the parade route here in the middle, okay? This side is where the kids were. Okay, this side here is where the video was taken from, so it was like this way. And coming down the parade route were these, they call themselves the gay nudists. They were the most haggiest looking people. There were men, there were women also in this group, and they're butt naked from head to toe. And they're over there in front of these little kids, shaking their little wee-wees and shaking their ta-tas and doing like this and stuff like this to the kids. I'm like, you don't show that. That's like an easy exposure to like a kid, to like a minor. And they're like these haggy looking people, and some of them had like this cross bag over them. And they're like going, yeah, 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 all this kind of stuff. And they're shaking it in front of these kids, including like they're trying to twerk in front of these kids. It looked awful. They couldn't twerk right. I'm like, why would you do that in front of little kids? At a pride parade, no less. I'm like, this is what everybody's so up in arms about, is that, we don't care that you're gay. Just don't sexualize it in front of kids. We don't care that you're a drag queen. Don't do your act in front of kids. I think you should be at least 16 years or older to go to a drag show. If you have to get carded, like have a ID or a driver license to see that drag show, then you're not old enough to see it until you have that right. That's what everybody's so up in arms about. Is that. So I don't know. Well, I'm going to go, digital peeps. I'll smell you later. Like I said, I'm leaving the books up. I'm not taking them down. If I get enough of an uproar, then I will take them down. But I'm leaving them. I'm leaving Blueberry go up for the story, not the author now. Because I like the story. I don't condone what he did. I like a little bit of a weed canceling myself of him. You know, I liked him for a very long time because of who he was associated with, my favorite hero on the entire planet. But now that he has these allegations, I can't look at him in the same way now. It's like, why would you do that to somebody? You don't do that to somebody. You just don't. I've read the Vulture article. I know what's going on, that kind of stuff. So, yeah. And I'm leaving Mulberry Street up because I don't find the book should be canceled whatsoever. I don't think, because like I said, I pointed out all the reasons why, It's like, why hasn't any Asian person come out and have said, oh, this offends me, kind of thing? I haven't seen that one Asian yet come out and say, hey, this little part in the Think I Saw That on Mulberry Street where he talks about an Asian person eating a bowl of rice with chopsticks, that's offensive to me. I've not once seen that. So, alright, I'll smell you later, digital peeps. Bye. Love and Lippy. I'll smell you later. This is going to go into the playlist. I'll put it into the playlist. And there's going to be other stories coming soon. So, we will real Tori and the Muses very, very, very soon. So, deuces. I love you. I'll smell you later. Bye, digital peeps. Love and Lippy.